Now, before we close looking at these Vestron films, can I just share a few thoughts with you before I go on the company itself and its sad demise? As I mentioned in the first episode, Vestron was actually a very successful pioneer of the home video entertainment industry in the 1980s, and it particularly excelled because it had a strong B-movie catalogue, lots of cool horror films in there. However, the early 90s, they fell afoul of a changing tastes, and audiences were supposedly becoming more mature. They were wanting more grown-up films, more mainstream, and so Vestron tried to follow suit, and indeed they did. Their motion picture arm, Vestron Pictures, started putting out films like the hit film Dirty Dancing, which was very mainstream. But they also stayed committed to more B-movies. But since demand for those inferior films dropped, the company's finances started to fall through. And Vestron ended up filing for bankruptcy on January the 11th, 1991. Vestron's catalogue was sold off to other companies, and these days you'll see a lot of their stuff put out by Lionsgate Entertainment. That's who do these Blu-rays I was just looking at. But there's a deep irony here, and a hypocrisy, I would say. By the early 90s, the supposedly mature audiences wanted to put the debauched Vestron B-movies to the side, as film fans were opting for more grown-up films from studios like Miramax, headed ironically by the debauched Harvey Weinstein. It's just such a vivid symbol, isn't it, of the hypocrisy you can find in high and low culture. Serious A pictures are often seen as worthwhile and long-lasting. They make an impact, they have moral import. While B-movie schlock horror is just seen as throwaway trash flash in the pan. Yet where do you see the most passion and love in terms of movie fans these days? It tends to be predominantly about genre movies. Yeah, of course, people do rave about Oscar winners, it's true. But it's often the genre films, including ones that won no awards whatsoever, that were dismissed as trash at the time, and now have just outlasted so many of these worthy dramas of the time. For example, in 1982, Chariots of Fire won the Best Picture. It's a great film, don't get me wrong, and it's well remembered. Ben Cross from the Unholy is in it, ironically. But we're talking about Ben Cross because of the Unholy, not because of Chariots of Fire. Indeed, John Carpenter's The Thing came out in 1982, and that was dismissed at the time as pure, gory, throwaway trash by the critics. And guess what? Look which film has inspired legions of fans devoted to its power and its story. You don't get people wearing Chariots of Fire t-shirts and hoodies, do you, these days? But you do get The Thing everywhere. Outpost 31. This crappy little B movie is now seen as a masterpiece. What I'm saying is there's something crazily biblical about this. Jesus, right, in the Gospels, he's always going on about, he repeatedly tells stories about this. Parables where there is this role reversal, where the last gradually becomes the first and the first becomes the last. I like that. All I'm saying is we've got to be really careful not to split culture into high and low. These labels are just a shorthand way of describing a film, but the moment we start seeing high and low culture as a gauge of worth, or better yet, longevity, we're on shaky ground. Vestron Video made their name putting out horror movies that still resonate today, even after the company itself folded and many of the great worthy films have vanished into the back catalogue. But Vestron's hefty back catalogue remains, and just a glance at these three films, The Unholy, Parents, and Class of 1999, show us that just because it's a B movie doesn't mean it's dumb. These films were making points, particularly Parents and particularly Class of 1999. So listen, here's hoping for more HD re-releases from Vestron's extensive warehouse. How about Deathstalker 2 for starters? Listen everyone, thanks for listening. Remember you can follow me on Twitter or Instagram at Rev Peter Laws, or Facebook at Peter Laws, or peterlaws.co.uk. Catch my magazine column in the Fortean Times each month, or my books in bookshops now and all the other stuff. So check it out. But until next time, be careful not to write some cultural expressions off as trash. Who knows how significant it might be in the future. I don't know. Maybe Keeping Up with the Kardashians will be seen as a masterpiece one day. Who knows? Lol. I just said lol out loud. That's even worse. But don't write that off. That could be seen as a very great moment in YouTube history. But until then, keep it creepy. Don't forget the flicks the church forgot. Bye.